Our next guest is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, publisher, co-author of 28 books and dozens of New York Times bestsellers. My goodness.
Wow. Here to discuss how to go from book concept to creation is friend to the show, Karen Hunter.
Hey.
Hey there.
Hello, hello,
welcome,
hello.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now we have to talk about this. 28 books. Wow. That is very impressive.
You asked me, and I'm like,
yeah,
I have to sit there and think about it. You know, it's a lot. I've been around. It means I'm old.
Okay, so you're wise.
It means I've been working a long time.
Well, for those who don't know, how did you first get into the publishing world?
Well, I slipped in. It was weird. I was working at the Daily News. Actually, Lola was there at the time, and I was on the editorial
Karen
page.
was one of the people who mentored me when I was at the Daily News.
Saying that.
That's why
I
she's so
deny
great.
it. I have nothing to do with this woman's success. No, but
I was a little cub reporter, and you took me under your wing, and you showed me the way.
You had everything that.
This is all your fault.
No, sorry, people. Sorry. So I was on the editorial page, but you know, during my spare time, I would write music features because I like to get free CDs. They had CDs back then.
Wow. What are those?
CDs. They're little disc things.
Okay.
So I used to harass the music editor, like, you know, give me, you know, what's hot, and he was like, just write some pieces for me. So I started doing that. I did a piece on the first piece on Biggie, and I started doing a lot of, you know, actually I was Bad Boy's resident writer, Faith and Total, and but anyway, so that kind of led to one day I'm in Long Island doing an interview with LL Cool J. He was doing a movie, and it was going to be the first time I told the story before. And I'm just like so fascinated by this guy, and I'm like, have you ever thought about doing a book? And he said, yeah. As a matter of fact, I could see the cover. I'm naked with hats everywhere, and I'm like, I could see that cover too. That looks really good.
I bet you could.
and so that kind of led to me making a phone call to find out, well, how do you get a book deal? You know, so I met with an agent, and then we actually got him a deal, and it was very lucrative. And I didn't know anything about the business. I just know, I had to write a proposal. And so what is that? So I just started writing a book, and it ended up being a great proposal that they bought, and it was great because I didn't know what I was doing, and I just did what I would always do as a journalist, which is to tell the story. And you know, the book went on to be a bestseller, and from there I put my target on the next person because, you know, I'm like, who can I write about next? And it was like, Queen Latifah, she's hot.
Wow.
So I'm calling around. Anybody know Queen Latifah? No one knew her. So I got to an agent, and they were like, well, she already has a book deal. She already has a writer. Sorry. And they hung up on me. And but I was persistent, and I said, well, just keep my name and number because I have a feeling you're going to need me. And what I understood is that, you know, dealing with personalities, and Lola, you know this, particularly celebrities, you need to have a certain kind of personality yourself.
Right.
And it's not just about being a great writer, because there are a lot of great writers out there, but how do you pull from somebody who is, you know, in the spotlight and used to, you know, being in control, and how do you flip it so that you can get everything you need to get so that this book is full of what it needs to be full of.
So how do you do it?
If I told you that, then I'd have to kill you. No. I mean, I don't know if it's a talent or a skill. I don't know if you can learn it. I think you do it every day when you sit down and talk to people, and it's the same energy, and it's just figuring out how to take that story and allow it to explode on the pages so that it's not just, you know, basic and, you know, what everyone else is doing, but that is something there that is meaty, you know. And I think that was the thing. After we did LL Cool J's book and it hit, people were like doing rap books. So you'll see a string of rap books after that book, because in publishing, it's a land of followers.
Yeah.
So rap books are hot. You know, just like wizards are hot. Let's all do a wizard book. Oh, vampires are hot. Let's do it. But it's not that. It's those elements in that book that made, you know, we opened up with him, his mother getting shot. You know, he's like 2 years old, and the bullets are hitting the refrigerator, and painting that picture, and his father is the shooter, you know, and painting a picture of the blood, and his mother's laying on the floor basically dying, and what was going on in his mind at the time as a 2-year-old watching this go on. I mean, that's how that book opens. It's nothing to do with rap.
No.
It has to do with a human story.
It's true. But Karen, how do you go about, I mean, look at this wall.
Yeah.
Kris Jenner, Janet Jackson, Patti LaBelle. I mean, how do you go about getting these celebrities to even sit down and commit to telling their story?
That is probably, again, an ancient Chinese secret, even though I'm black.
Listen.
I study the Chinese. No,
you
but
gotta give us something.
No,
yes,
no,
please.
I mean,
what's your? Do you woo them? Do you write letters?
No,
do you call them?
I have.
Do you take them out to
You know
dinner?
me well
What's
enough
the deal?
to know that my personal style leaves a lot to be desired in some circles. I've been told. But I mean,
you don't just roll up on them and say, jack them up and say, I want your story.
Kris Jenner was a cold call that a business partner of mine made. Just called her. And then we got on the phone with her.
Wait, you just call up?
Right.
Well, he got to
Mama
somebody that got to
Kardashian?
somebody and was like, hey, and she answered. I mean, how I got my publishing deal was a cold call. You know, at the end of the day, you have to be able to let people in on the truth of what it is that you're selling. You know, yes, we're selling something, but we're honest about what we're selling, which is we're going to give you the best book you could probably tell. We're going to make sure that you look good, you know, in the process. And you know, we can't promise a bestseller, but at the end of the day, you got the best shot with us than anyone else. And that's really, you know, and after a track record of doing this, hey, you know, like, look at the marketplace. You know, not a lot of people are doing this consistently. So there's obviously a formula here. And that's what I'm selling when I talk to people. And I think they feel the sincerity, because I don't woo. I'm not somebody, and I've walked away. I'm like, look, take it or leave. You know, you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm not going to force anybody into a relationship, no matter how bad I want it, because there's always another book. You know, and that's a lesson for women out there, too. There's always another guy.
Book.
Another guy. There's always another.
Is that the next
Okay,
book?
I know that's the next one.
There's always an opportunity for something better.
Well, with some of these people, I mean, they're stars, they're celebrities in their own right, so it seems like they would be an easy bestseller because they have the celebrity name. But is it more about the ghostwriter and the talent that they have, and less about the star of the celebrity?
Two things. Ghostwriter is important, but I like to think there are a lot of great writers out there. So, but it's that person's willingness to tell whatever it is that they have on their heart to tell. Just because you are a celebrity doesn't mean you need to have a book. You know, just because I'm famous. And LL, to his credit, said, he was only 28 at the time. I haven't lived long enough to really. But he really had a lot to tell, right?
In the game since he was 16.
Short years. But that's how mindful he was of what this process was. And I think a lot of people, celebrities, come into it without thinking about their legacy. They just want that check or that quick hit, or, you know, you can be on the bestsellers list, but that doesn't even mean anything. That doesn't mean, as a publisher, I'm going to even make my money back. So is a celebrity a good bet? Not necessarily. I've done a lot of books with celebrities that haven't sold, and I've seen a lot of celebrity books that have not been on the bestsellers list, and even on the bestsellers list have not turned a profit. So
is it the willingness of the celebrity to be as open as possible that determines a bestseller versus one that just sits on the shelves?
But that goes across the board. My philosophy is I don't really care whether you're a celebrity or not. I only care if you have a story that's going to reach somebody, touch somebody, move the needle, you know, enlighten somebody, make someone feel something. You have to have something to say. And I have the biggest struggle with me working with celebrities is allowing them to, or getting them to open up, because I've had honest conversations with them, and your book is going to flop. I'm going to finish it, but it's going to flop because you're not being real.
Yeah.
You're not being real, and your audience is going to know that you're not being real, and it may hit because you have X amount of Twitter followers that first week, but then that's what you want to look at. How if a book hits, does it stay there?
Right.
You know, does it continue to climb? And you have certain things, and the other thing I want to say is there's a passion quotient, I call it. So if you look on the list, you have books, Bill O'Reilly, you have Duck Dynasty folk. They got like 3 books in the top 20. I've watched it one time and I'm like, but there's a passionate following with these people. Mark Levin, who's on the radio in New York, has a bestseller, a string of bestsellers actually. He sells 1 million copies every time out. And you say, why is he selling books? Glenn Beck can put out a children's book and it's going to sell. And a lot of people may not like his politics, but the people who like his politics are passionate enough that every time he writes something, they're going to buy it.
So what, besides having a passionate following, what else does it take to publish a successful book? And what's the first steps people should go about?
Making sure that your book is good. You know, I think a lot of people, being real with yourself, how about that? A lot of people are, yeah, I know, that's a tough one.
That's the thing,
That's
Karen,
a tough one.
you and I, we've been in this industry for a while, and you know we've all encountered people who think they can write, but tragically, they cannot.
Right.
So
if 3 people have read your book, honestly, and they have not said, oh my gosh, when is the next one coming out, you probably don't have a hit on your hands. And that's a very real, sobering thing. I actually have an editor that I work with. He started out as a writer, and he said, I got to the point where I realized I'm not as good as these people are, you know, so let me take a back seat. And it's okay to be honest with yourself and admit that this may not be my forte. Let me find something that I can do, even though I love to write. Let me find another way to get that fix going, you know. That's the hardest thing, be real with yourself and say, is this really good? Have other people read it, you know. as a ghostwriter, it's a little different. You know, I think the best ghostwriters come from journalism. I often say this. Even sports writers, Mike Lupica, Mitch Albom, who's a sports writer from Detroit, has a string of bestsellers, novels. You know, because we automatically know how to pull where the drama is, and that's really the key, right? So, what do you want to?
I was just gonna say, is it hard to take the back seat sometimes and say, you know, to not even be acknowledged in some of these books, not have any credit on the front cover?
First of all, anytime you see me with no credit, I have chosen to not have credit.
Oh,
okay. For whatever reason.
That's a good point.
And I'm not to say that there are true ghostwriters, you know, people who do not want credit for other reasons. They don't want to be known as a ghostwriter. For me, if I believe in a product, I want my name on it, I want my credit, and I demand that. But, you know, it's not hard to take a back seat, because I think whatever position we're in, and I feel very strongly about this, you're merely a conduit. So even if you're interviewing celebrities, what's your job? To be a conduit for them to tell their story. It's not about you.
Right.
So it's not about me. It's not my book. I'm just here as a vessel to make sure that they have the best presentation of their book as possible.
Wow.
Very good point. So aspiring writers, what do you say when they come to you, Karen?
Write. I get called emails, probably 3-4 emails a day from people wanting me to write their book. And I always say, try to write your book yourself first, so that you can appreciate how hard it is to actually write a book. I don't think people understand how hard it is to. So try it, earnestly try it. And keep trying it. Things don't happen overnight. I was just telling someone the other day, you can go through the first draft of something and it sucks. You know, it's horrible. And you got to let it go, come back to it, do it again. You might have to go through 4 or 5 drafts. I worked with Elon Harris, who had 11 bestsellers. I got the fortunate position to publish his last book. And he was so anal up until press time. And God rest his soul, he passed away. But this man wanted to make changes up to the very last moment. He was not satisfied with the product. Even when it was, you know, in. I was like, we can't make any more. He was like, but one more. Eva has to have another scene, you know. But that's what I'm looking for in an aspiring writer, somebody who's not satisfied with just okay or mediocrity, but someone who never looks at this copy and says it's perfect.
I like that. Okay, well, last question. What is the most popular type of genre right now? What can we be successful at?
Jesus.
Okay.
Jesus, politics. You know, if you can write about dying and coming back and seeing Jesus, you're gonna have a bestseller.
Okay.
So that's
I'll get started on that right now.
You should die, come back, and then tell people Jesus is real. You're gonna sell a lot of books.
I like that. All right. Well, you heard it here first from Karen Hunter herself. Jesus is real. Amen. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
And you're watching Arise Entertainment 360.